Inclusive communication in the classroom. How to create an inclusive environment for children with communication disorders. Within this presentation, I will be covering how do speech, language and hearing disorders affect learning, what are signs of a communication disorder, and the major communication disorders, and how teachers can create a more inclusive environment for children with these disorders. How do speech, language and hearing disorders affect learning? Children with a communication disorder will have difficulty processing information, written or verbal. They're likely to have difficulty following instructions, especially if there is multiple and complicated steps to follow. Therefore, the inability of a student to accurately absorb and recall written or verbal information or instructions can have a substantial impact on his or her capacity to complete assignments and tasks as expected. Research shows that for the development of reading skills, verbal skills are extremely influential. This can be hard for children who struggle with speech, language, or hearing disorder. What are the signs of a communication disorder? There are very early signs that are usually shown in children from birth to 12 months old. Does not interact with peers, does not understand what people are saying, and makes only few gestures and sounds such as pointing and babbling. The further signs are shown from 1.5 years to around 3 years. Struggle putting words together to form sentences, struggles talking and playing with other children, and early trouble with reading and writing skills. How can teachers ensure that there is inclusive communication within the classroom for hard of hearing students? Teachers can give written instructions for lessons to ensure children with hearing difficulties feel included within the classroom, but also be aware that it does take longer to interpret written instructions than spoken instructions. It's important to encourage children with hearing loss to sit near the front of the class to make sure their vision is not obstructed. Make sure background noise is kept to a minimum. This noise may be distracting for hard of hearing students. Do not speak facing the board. It makes it difficult for children who rely on lip reading to interpret the information, and dark rooms will also make it hard to lip read. Recording lessons might be helpful for hard of hearing students as well, so they can go back and look at the content. How can teachers make sure that children with dyslexia feel included within the classroom? Teachers can use visual aids and combine visual, audio, and written communication skills to increase children's ability to remember and engage. Slow down speech and use simpler sentences, as this gives dyslexic children time to process what you're saying. Use fonts that are dyslexia-friendly, such as Open Dyslexic, which is designed against some common symptoms of dyslexia, and it helps prevent letters mirroring and swapping. If you don't have Open Dyslexic, another font that's good for dyslexic children is Comic Sans. Schedule breaks and timeouts during the lesson. This helps children with dyslexia process the information, as they can get tired and overwhelmed with challenges they face. Content and spelling and grammar marked separately. It can be really frustrating for children to lose marks on their spelling and grammar, so consider marking their content separately so they don't lose morale. How can teachers ensure that children with autism feel included within the classroom? Allow handwriting alternatives. Students with autism may struggle with writing, and some may not be able to write at all. It's helpful for students with autism to use a computer occasionally, as it allows them to focus more on the content of the lesson. Use the students' interests and strengths during teaching to inspire children with autism to engage within the lesson. For example, using trains when talking about physics or maths. Give choices for the children, as this gives them more control in their learning. For example, the option for them to work alone or with a small group. Create a comfortable learning environment within the classroom. Children with autism will learn better when they feel relaxed and secure and are not overstimulated. This can be achieved by minimising background noise, keep materials out of view when not in use, and different sections of the classroom designated for different types of activities. For example, having a reading area and then a play area. Allow children with autism to share ideas and ask questions. Children with autism may seem shy and quiet compared to verbal and outgoing children. Therefore, it's important for them not to be overpowered within the classroom. It's really important to recognise the early signs of a communication disorder so you can help and support the child in the correct way. Although a class might not have students with every communication disorder listed within this presentation, it's important to be aware of how to make a classroom more inclusive for children to ensure all students are getting the most out of their education. Listen to your students to gauge how they as individuals feel included within the classroom, as every child is different and they'll feel included in different ways.